Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. After the study of the trachea, let's talk about the bronchial tree. Bronchial tree is composed of two primary bronchi that enter the lung. These are the principal bronchi. The trachea divides into two at the carina, and then these two primary bronchi, they again gives rise to three lobar or secondary bronchi on the right side and two on the left side. Next is the tertiary bronchus, that is segmental bronchi, and then they divides to bronchioles, which are the terminal bronchioles and the respiratory bronchioles. So in this way, progressively the airways decreased in size and cartilage, the glands, goblet cells, and the height of the epithelial cells, but they increase in smooth muscle cells and the elastic tissue. Now this is the primary bronchi, extrapulmonary. We can call these are the extrapulmonary, and these primary bronchi, these are identical to the trachea as regards their microscopic picture or the microscopic structure, but they have a smaller diameter and thinner wall. Cartilage is in the form of irregular plates. Instead of a C-shaped ring, there are plates of cartilages. And the smooth muscles, these are located between the lamina propria and some mucosa. There are two distinct layers of the smooth muscles. This is the, can you see, this is the cartilage. This is pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium, the lamina propria and the submucosa, and in the submucosa is present the hyaline cartilage. You can see the, can you see the chondrocytes which are present in their lacunae, forming the isogenous groups, and on both sides of the cartilage we have got the perichondrium, which is the covering of the cartilage, and again then the adventitia. When we talk about the bronchioles have not any cartilage or glands, but they have goblet cells. In large bronchioles, epithelium is simple columnar ciliated with occasional goblet cells. Now the epithelium is starting to be changed. In smaller bronchioles, epithelium changes to simple cuboidal with no goblet cells. The bronchioles have a smooth muscle coat surrounded by fibroelastic connective tissue. The terminal bronchioles are terminus of the conducting portion. They are lined by cuboidal cells, some with cilia and clara cells, which have domed apical surface. Lamina propria. Lamina propria is a fibroelastic connective tissue, 1 to 2 layers of smooth muscle cells separated from the adventitia. What are the clara cells? Clara cells are the exocrine bronchiolar cells. Clara cells are columnar with dome-shaped apex. Clara cells are columnar cells but with dome-like apex. There are secretory granules present in the cytoplasm. There will be a rough endoplasmic reticulum which secrete the glycoproteins and surfactant-like materials. These cells degrade the toxins because of the presence of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. They divide to replace other cells. They have got the antimicrobial peptide properties. So this is the picture of these bronchioles. This is the terminal bronchiole. These are the clara cells. Then let's talk about the respiratory bronchioles. These are transitional zone between the conducting and respiratory tissues. alveoli branching from their walls. They are lined by ciliated cuboidal epithelium with clara cells that changes to type 1 alveolar cells. Smooth muscle cells and elastic fibers underlie the epithelium. Opening of alveolus to alveolar duct is controlled by a single smooth muscle cell. These are the alveolar ducts and the alveolar sacs, and at the end there are alveolar sacs. This is the picture when we see under the microscope the alveolar sacs. They are being seen like this. They are lined by the simple squamous epithelium. I have reached the respiratory part of the lungs, and there are alveolar ducts. These alveolar ducts do not have wall of their own. They are only a linear arrangement of alveoli. They end as a blind outpouching known as the alveolar sac. Now, what is the alveolus? Alveolus has 200 microns in diameter, and it is the functional unit of the respiratory system. Open as out.
Alveoli are the sac-like structures, just like the thaliaं हैं at the end of those alveolar ducts.
Outpocketing of the respiratory bronchiole and the alveolar duct, composed of attenuated type 1 and type 2 pneumocytes. Connective tissue between them are very scanty. Air space of two adjacent alveoli communicate through an alveolar pore, and there is an interalveolar septum which is between the alveoli and have an extensive capillary bed where the exchange of materials takes place. So these are the alveoli, and they are surrounded by the capillaries, and this is the microscopic picture of an alveolus. Cells of the alveolar septa are: there are endothelial cells which are non-fenestrated with a thin dark nucleus and pinocytotic vesicles. There are type 1 squamous cells that cover most of the alveolar surface area. They have pinocytotic vesicle. And the type 2 greater alveolar cells are cuboidal, located on the alveolar surface where septa intersect. They have foamy cytoplasm, surfactant granules. The surfactant is a material which reduces the surface tension to keep the alveoli open during the expiration. Then we have got the alveolar macrophages that are known as the dust cells. And then interstitial cells consist of fibroblasts and mast cells. There are elastic and reticular fibers. The type 1 pneumocytes, the squamous alveolar cells. 95% of the alveolar surface is composed of the simple squamous cells. There are occluding junctions which are attaches these cells to the other cells. They have got the basal lamina. The alveolar pores are formed by the fusion of the two adjacent type 1 cells. What are the type 2 pneumocytes, which are also known as the septal cells? They are more numerous than type 1. They cover just 5% of the alveolar surface. Located among the type 1 cells, cuboidal and with dome-shaped apical surface. Located where adjacent alveoli are separated by a septum. They have an abundance of rough endoplasmic reticulum, developed Golgi complex. Their lamellar bodies contain the pulmonary surfactant. Then what about the dust cells? Dust cells, they are known as type 3 pneumocytes, originate from the monocytes that migrate to pulmonary interstitium, migrate between type 1 cells and enter the alveolar lumen, maintain a sterile environment, assist type 2 pneumocytes to uptake the surfactant. These are the macrophages, type 2 pneumocytes, type 1 pneumocytes.
Lamellar granules are just like the granules which are present in the keratinocytes of the skin,
appearing about 300 to 400 nanometers in width and 100 to 150 nanometers in length. Lamellar granules fuse with the cell membrane and release their contents into the extracellular space. Then let's talk about the blood-gas barrier. Blood-gas barrier is the thinnest region of the intra-alveolar septum where gases can be exchanged. This barrier is composed of type 1 alveolar cells, surfactant that covers them, common basal lamina of the type 1 and endothelial cells of the capillary network. This is forming the blood-gas barrier.
Outer covering of the lungs is the pleura. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk something about the pleura. Pleura has got this is the covering of the lungs, and it consists of two layers, the visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. The visceral pleura is made up of a simple squamous cuboidal epithelium, which is also known as the mesothelium, and there is some connective tissue beneath it. And then there are small blood vessels and lymphatics are found in the connective tissue. The presence of alveoli indicates that this is the visceral and not the parietal pleura. The pleura consists of a thin layer of connective tissue stroma, which is covered by a layer of simple squamous epithelium, and this is known as the mesothelium. I have told you that there is a visceral pleura and there is a parietal pleura, and the stroma of the pleura consists of collagenous fibers, elastic fibers, and a few fibroblasts and some macrophages. Contained within the stroma are the blood capillaries, the lymph vessels, and the nerve fibers. Let us revise. I was talking about the lungs. In the lungs there is a bronchial tree. The trachea divides into right and left principal bronchi, which are known as the primary bronchi. Then the principal bronchi gives rise to the lobar or secondary bronchi, which enter the lung. There are three lobar bronchi which are arising from the right principal bronchus, while the left principal bronchus divides into two lobar bronchi. Each lobar bronchus divides further into segmental or tertiary bronchi, and these tertiary bronchi supply the bronchopulmonary segments. There are 10 bronchopulmonary segments in the right lung and there are 8 in the left lung. Within each bronchopulmonary segment, repeated divisions of bronchi occur in dichotomous manner. After about 10 to 20 generations of the divisions, the diameter of the tube is reduced to approximately 1 millimeter, and now it is known as the bronchiole. Each bronchiole supplies a lung lobule, which is the basic unit of the lung. These lobules are pyramidal in shape with their apices directed towards the hilum of the lung. Each lobule is delimited by a thin connective tissue septum. So there are 30 to 60 lobules in each bronchopulmonary segment. Within a lung lobule, each bronchiole branches further to give rise to 5 to 7 terminal bronchioles, and each terminal bronchiole branches into 2 respiratory bronchioles, which divide further to give rise to the alveolar ducts, and these ducts lead into the pulmonary atria, which in turn open into the alveolar sacs and pulmonary alveoli. These ducts lead into the pulmonary atria, which in turn open into the alveolar sacs and pulmonary alveoli. The gaseous exchange between air and blood occurs from the level of the respiratory bronchioles to the alveoli. And I have told you that the extrapulmonary bronchi resemble the trachea in structure except for their smaller diameter. The intrapulmonary bronchi differ from the extrapulmonary bronchi in many respects, and the main differences are: the intrapulmonary bronchi have a smaller diameter. The intrapulmonary bronchi have a smaller diameter and have a rounded contour as compared to the larger caliber and D-shaped contour of the extrapulmonary bronchi. There are smooth muscles. The smooth muscles appear in the form of a complete layer in the intrapulmonary bronchi. The hyaline cartilage of the intrapulmonary bronchi is not present in the form of C-shaped rings, but occurs as irregular cartilaginous plates. So these are the differences between the extrapulmonary and intrapulmonary bronchi. Also, the mucosa of the intrapulmonary bronchi is lined by pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium with goblet cells, and the lamina propria is rich in elastic fibers and contains many small squamous simple branch tubular alveolar. The lamina propria is rich in elastic fibers and contains many small pseudomucinous simple branch tubuloalveolar glands, and beneath the lamina propria, smooth muscle is present in the form of a sheet in which muscle fibers are arranged as spirally coursing, interlacing bundles. In histological section, the bronchial mucosa appears characteristically folded, and the folding is caused by post-mortem contraction of the smooth muscles. Outer to the smooth muscle layer, the hyaline cartilage is present in the form of irregular plates. In larger intrapulmonary bronchi, these plates completely encircle the lumen. As the bronchial diameter diminishes, the amount of cartilage gradually decreases, and in the wall of the smaller bronchi, the hyaline cartilage is present as small isolated plates, which in sections appear as small islands of cartilage, and sometimes these are referred to as insulae cartilaginea. All bronchi are surrounded by a layer of connective tissue which is continuous with the connective tissue of the hilum. The bronchioles are the conducting tubes 1 mm or less in diameter. Apart from their smaller diameter, the bronchioles differ from bronchi in the following two respects. Number 1, there is no cartilage in the wall of a bronchiole, and number 2, the bronchiolar mucosa contains no glands. So in the larger bronchioles, the lining epithelium is of pseudostratified columnar ciliated, showing many goblet cells. The bronchioles are the conducting tubes 1 mm or less in diameter, and apart from their small diameter, the bronchioles differ from bronchi in these two respects. Number 1, there is no cartilage in the wall, and number 2, the bronchiolar mucosa contains no glands. But in the larger bronchioles, the lining epithelium is of pseudostratified columnar ciliated type, showing many goblet cells. As the bronchioles divide into smaller divisions, the goblet cells disappear and the epithelium gradually changes its form, and until in the terminal bronchioles, which are of the diameter of 0.5 mm, it becomes a simple cuboidal or low columnar epithelium, and most of the lining epithelial cells of a terminal bronchiole bear cilia. But scattered non-ciliated cells are also present, and these cells are called the Clara cells. Clara cells have dome-shaped apices which protrude into the lumen of the bronchioles. Apical regions of these cells show secretory granules. Function of the Clara cell was not clear, but now it has been proved that these cells secrete a material called surfactant. This material is instrumental in the expansion of the lungs. Then the respiratory bronchioles continue into thin-walled conical tubes called alveolar ducts. Wall of an alveolar duct is studded with alveolar sacs and alveoli, which open into the lumen of the duct. Hence, an alveolar duct presents a very discontinuous wall in histological sections. Between the openings of the alveoli, the wall of alveolar duct consists of epithelium and the lamina propria. The lining epithelium is of simple squamous variety. The lamina propria consists of smooth muscles and connective tissues containing elastic and collagenous fibers. In section, the smooth muscle bundles appear as knob-like projections. The alveoli, as regards the alveolus, the pulmonary alveoli, the air cells are cup-shaped structure. You can see these cup-shaped structures. They are having very thin walls through which gaseous exchange between the blood and air takes place. A pulmonary alveolus opens into a respiratory bronchiole, an alveolar duct, or an alveolar sac. Because of the interdigitating arrangement and tight packing, each alveolus does not have a completely separate wall. Rather, adjacent alveoli are separated from each other by an interalveolar septum. The pulmonary alveoli are lined by two types of cells. There are squamous alveolar cells and there are great alveolar cells. The squamous alveolar cells, these are called the type 1 cells and form a complete but very thin layer lying. The squamous alveolar cells, which are also known as the type 1 cells, they form a complete but very thin layer lining all the alveolar spaces. They possess low or flat nuclei, and beyond the perinuclear region, the cytoplasm of a squamous alveolar cell becomes so attenuated as to make the cell beyond the resolving power of the light microscope. Electron microscope shows that at places the cells may be only 25 nanometer thick. Adjacent squamous alveolar cells are bound to each other by means of desmosomes and occluding junctions. The other type of the cell is the great alveolar cells, which is also called type 2 cell or the septal cell. These cells are cuboidal in shape and occur as small groups, which are usually situated in the corners and angles of the alveolar walls. Electron microscopic picture reveals that the free luminal surface of these cells bears microvilli. In addition to the usual cell organelles, the cytoplasm of a great alveolar cell contains small multilamellar bodies called the cytosomes. These bodies, they have got 0.2 micron diameter and show concentric or parallel membrane lamellae, so lamellar bodies. Cytosomes do not stain well with ordinary stains. Consequently, the cytoplasm of a great alveolar cell gives a characteristic vacuolated appearance under the light microscope. Histochemically, the cytosomes have been found to contain phospholipids, proteins, and glycosaminoglycans. These substances are secreted into the alveoli as the surfactant. This material lines the alveoli in the form of a thin layer and serves the very important function of reducing the surface tension of the squamous alveolar cells. And the reduction of surface tension facilitates the breathing by diminishing the force needed to inflate the alveoli. Let's finish by talking about the blood supply of the lungs. The lungs have a double system of blood supply. There are pulmonary arteries and pulmonary veins, and there are bronchial arteries and the bronchial veins. The pulmonary arteries are elastic arteries of large caliber which convey deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. And within the lungs, the pulmonary arteries gives branches which follow the bronchial tree. At the level of the respiratory bronchioles, these branches of pulmonary artery give rise to a very rich capillary network. And this capillary network lies in the interalveolar septum. Then venules originating from this network run in the interlobular connective tissue. And the apices of the lobules, the venules, join to form small veins which accompany the branches of the pulmonary artery along the bronchial tree. Finally, the pulmonary veins are formed at hilum of the lung, through which the oxygenated blood is returning to the heart. Bronchial arteries are smaller arteries that supply oxygenated blood to the tissues of the bronchi and the connective tissue of the lung. The bronchial arteries also follow the bronchial tree. Along their course, they give rise to the capillaries which supply the walls of the bronchi, bronchioles, and the surrounding connective tissue. Ultimately, the bronchial arteries break up into capillaries at the level of the respiratory bronchioles, and these capillaries anastomose with the branches of the pulmonary artery, and most of the blood carried in the bronchial arteries returns via the pulmonary veins. Some blood, however, is drained into the bronchial veins, which are tributaries of the azygous system. Thank you very much.